It's been 1 week since I've been able to sit down. My chair's been missing, and the perpetrator is still at large. Their identity remains a mystery. I had one lead, but it turned out to be a false flag. There's no way someone could be responsible for the disappearance when they don't even have editing powers on my scripts. The man behind the curtain over at Jay's Reviews was right. I was gonna have to dig through the transcripts, see who it was that did me dirty and make them pay. This all reminds me of a case I took on a while back. The mystery of the Batwoman. For sure I thought it would remain a mystery, but I found the clues, cracked the case. Like all good detectives, I left no stone unturned. I remember it just like it was 5 seconds from now.
For the longest time, Mystery of the Batwoman felt disconnected from the rest of the DCAU. While obviously set in that world, it just didn't seem to comfortably fit anywhere in specific. Looking at the designs used in the story, one could easily just assume that it occurs in the same era as the new Batman Adventures an unknown amount of time prior to Justice League. In fact, Batman Adventures writer Dan Slott had this to say about the situation. In our minds, our being Jones, Ty's, and mine, everything in BMOTB happens before Penguin ran for mayor. Batman's still in his new Adventures of Batman style costume, as opposed to the JL Adventures costume we're using, and Bullock is still on the force. And he went on to address continuity issues that may arise from there, stating, if Mystery of the Batwoman happened before the new Batman Adventures #1, then why wasn't Kathy mentioned in the roster of Bruce/Batman's Lost Loves in Batman Adventures #5? Good question, oh continuity-minded one. Let me walk you through that brain teaser. In Batman Adventures #5, both Bruce and Alfred muse over Bruce's long list of love affairs. They mention all the girls in chronological order. Zatanna, Andrea Beaumont, Selena Kyle, Talia, Lois Lane, and after Alfred mentions Poison Ivy's plant creature that Bruce married in the chemistry episode, the doorbell rings, interrupting their conversation. Now, if Julie Madison hadn't shown up at that exact moment, logically, Kathy would have been the next girl on the list. So from the mouth of one of the DCAU's creative staff, this places the film sometime between the new Batman Adventures episode Chemistry and the start of Justice League, which sounds fine if we take things at face value, but you know the drill. The explanation of the costume just doesn't line up for me. After all, we've got Batman switching costumes back and forth in Static Shock. He's in a TNBA-esque outfit in Batman and Harley Quinn, which occurs between seasons of Justice League Unlimited. His costume in the flashbacks of Mad Love and Old Wounds not matching the BTAS era costume that should be present. Something was fishy there, and...
Hey, this is James interrupting for a second. We also talked to Alan Burnett a while ago, after we did our interview with him about all this stupid costume stuff. He basically said that Kurt Gaeta just decided to use the new Batman Adventures Batman because it was the model that he liked. So that's the only reason it's in the movie. So it doesn't mean anything. Okay, I'm gonna go back to editing now.
So the costume was faulty evidence, but did the movie have any more clues to go off of? Well, things just seem to get curiouser and curiouser.
How's college?
Not bad, though the nightlife here can't compare with kicking butt as Batgirl.
By the time we first met Barbara, she was returning home from college and had just made the dean's list. The implication being that at the very least, her first year of college was done and over with. Throughout the series, they ended up returning Barbara to Gotham, transferring her from whatever unknown out-of-town college she was going to over to Gotham State University. We're then told in Sub-Zero that she's 20 years old, so one could assume that by this time she's likely completed her first year at GSU. Due to Batman Adventures: The Lost Years, we know at least 2 years passed from there to the new Batman Adventures. This leads to 4 years of college by this time and a likely graduation. The creators were aware of this and as a result never mentioned her being in college during the run of the new Batman Adventures, and even mentioned in her character bio for the show that she'd graduated. Once again, I was following what seemed to be a dead lead. All this seemed to do was just further confirm that despite the character models, the movie simply just didn't take place during the new Batman Adventures. There had to be something I was missing.
They were making arms for Kaznia. Something I'm sure the State Department would frown upon.
Perhaps this was the key. While we had murmurings of civil unrest in Kaznia as far back as Superman's debut in The Last Son of Krypton, and evidence that the country's problems continued up into Batman Beyond, the use of this fictional country was few and far between. Lo and behold, this movie was released 3 days after Justice League's episode Maid of Honor, and well...
Kaznia.
Kaznia.
Kasnia.
Kazanian operatives stealing military secrets.
Of course, Kasnians would be attempting to steal weaponry since their supplier in Gotham was no more. And of course, Batman would be on the case since the circumstances leading to this were rooted in his city. This also explained why Batgirl, who is now in her 20s, wasn't a part of the League. Nightwing and Bruce were already on rough terms. Robin was too young, and by this time, Barbara was back in college, nowhere near her home base in Gotham. It all made sense now. And yet, while it does make sense from a narrative standpoint, this connection is only theoretical and never outright stated in the show or by the production crew. The evidence is tenuous and can easily be discounted due to the fact we've proven many entries in the DCAU aren't necessarily subject to occur in the time frame of when they were released. This could also be tied to later mentions of Kasnia, such as Justice League Unlimited's Hawk and Dove, or be an unrelated reference altogether. Besides, there's one thing that still bugs me about that placement. As we've mentioned before, there's a decent amount of Justice League episodes that occur between Halloween and Christmas of 2001, and Maid of Honor falls into that gap. Yet in Mystery of the Batwoman, we're serenaded with the soothing sounds of Sherry. If this occurred prior to Christmas 2001, why is Sherry singing a song that isn't released as a single until 2003 from her debut album that comes out in 2004? Sure, this could just be a song written for the movie that was later added to an album and in-universe that's not actually Sherry singing, but look at her! Look at her! That character is obviously modeled after Sherry, and I know what you're all thinking. Who is Sherry? Well, I'm glad you asked. According to Wikipedia, Sherry is a French pop and dance music singer coming from Marseille. Her 2004 hit, I'm Ready, hit #1 on the hot dance music / club play charts.
Clubbing?
Later on, she performed professionally with her real name, Cindy Almonzi. And, oh, that wasn't the only thing you were thinking? You wanted to remind me that we've learned from Static Shock that pop culture references aren't the most trustworthy evidence? Well, that's a fair point. Something about this still just didn't sit right with me. There had to be an explanation that fit all of the evidence.
Well, did you figure it out?
Actually, I did. As any good writer knows, if you introduce a B plot, it needs to come back to affect the A plot eventually. You've got to tie things together with a nice bow. While life doesn't play out like this at all times, every now and then life does imitate art and the plot points all converge, leading to a great aha moment. Back in February, Jay's Reviews had asked me to come onto his show in the near future to discuss Mystery of the Batwoman. Then a month later, I went on the 12th Level Intellects podcast to discuss what happened between JLU and Batman Beyond. Weeks later, while the comic shop across the street from my work was closing down, I picked up the novelization of the Batwoman film, and from there, all these B-plots began to work their way together. While reading through the book, one piece of evidence stuck out that never caught my attention in the movie: the use of plasma rifles.
These aren't toys, Bullock. This is a plasma rifle.
And why should it have? The line is innocent enough. This would have gone completely under my radar had we not just been joking about it a month prior.
You're forgetting the most important 2005 moment is when the plasma rifle is invented. Now this is a pivotal linchpin in the timeline, which is he's fighting Karare in a museum, and there's like 2 shots where you see him throw a statue at her or something, and it just says plasma rifle 2005. Like that's when it's invented.
So if you guys go back and watch through Justice League, anything that looks like a plasma rifle, that's not a plasma rifle.
The inclusion of this weapon puts us in the DCAU's 2005, after Justice League Unlimited and before the Joker's demise at the hands of Tim Drake, which occurs in 2007 at the absolute latest. From there, I was able to narrow it down even further because Tim mentions,
nobody at school can figure it out. The guys are gonna flip.
We know from almost all official bios for Tim Drake that he joins the Bat family at age 13. This, we've deduced, occurred in 1999, meaning 6 years later in 2005, he'd be 19 and should be graduated. Unless he turned 13 in 1999 and was 12 earlier in the year, in which case he could be 18 in 2005 and a graduating high school senior, which makes sense because
Spring break will be coming up soon.
Which would mean we're in spring semester of Tim Drake's senior year at high school.
Not only did I crack the case by reading, but it's led me to figuring out our current situation. While I was over at Jay's reviews, he mentioned that he couldn't possibly be behind the theft of my chair because he isn't part of the WDB team and therefore doesn't have any power over what I say in these videos. He's an innocent in these shenanigans. So, the ransom note was just a narrative device. This revelation led me to look through the past few WDB video scripts, and I now know who took the chair.
Oh yeah? So, who done it?
Well, much like there were revealed to be 3 Batwomen, there are 3 culprits here.
Ooh, a mystery of the Batwoman.
Chair!
Of the chair.
First off, there's you, James.
Gasp.
You played a part in making sure these scripts were written in a short amount of time.
Go on.
Leading me to need to craft a cohesive narrative spanning 3 videos and a guest appearance over on Jay's reviews.
Yes, uh-huh.
Then there's Ted, who played a part in the editing process, making sure these scripts weren't utter gibberish. And lastly, there's Jay, who we know by this time is innocent, but still played a hand in this whole thing. So really, I think we're all responsible for the missing chair.
So, it's all connected. The chair was simply written out of the Watchtower Database timeline's continuity. It was never even gone.
Correct!
But there's still something I don't understand.
What's that?
I told you I needed 3 timeline scripts by the time the Justice League video started, but that was a month ago. You're super late.
Well, technically they were all written before then. They were written before we made any of these videos, so my job has been done!
Then, why are we having this conversation?
James, we're not. This moment is already gone. This whole Mattie's been stuck in the basement thing, it happened 2 years ago. It's just a memory. And the rest of this never happened. We don't even live in the same state. I was never here, and you've been standing there all day just looking at Batman memes on your phone. Look around you, James. You're all alone.
Kids, it's been almost 20 years since that cold June night in 2018. And I can safely tell you, if I could go back in time and relive that night, there's no way in hell I'd look at Batman memes for 7 hours, even though that one with him with a lightsaber riding a shark was pretty great. No, I'd go home. I'd go to my old house, see all my old furniture, my old stuff. I'd see my old drawing table where I sketched out the first issue of my webcomic. I'd sit on that old couch and watch Epilogue and not tell anyone about a damn thing that happens in it. But none of those things is the thing I'd do first. You know the thing I'd do first.
Hi, I'm James Strecker, and exactly 14 days from now, I'm gonna post a video about your costume, and I'm gonna get really frustrated, I'm gonna yell a lot, and I'm gonna point out all the things wrong with it. People are gonna love it. Well, most people. All of that is 14 days away. But I'm here now, I guess, because I want those extra 14 days. With you, I want each one of them. And look, if I can't have them, I'll take the extra 14 seconds before someone comments on this video and tells us to quit doing skits. Because I hate you. I'm always gonna hate you. Till the end of my days. In Batman Beyond. You'll see.
It's been 1 week since I've been able to sit